toughest part was when Morpheus had the pill. It was like you can either go into the real world or the hidden world. You see what I'm saying? So it's two conclusions we draw. Back in slavery, back in the 18th and 1600s, they will publicly whip black people, and and the audience would be integrated. It would be black and white people who's looking at this black man being whipped. But what's the message being told to these black and white people? To the white man, it's saying that this nigga better stay in his place. That's right. To the black man, he like, oh, I better not do what he did. You see what I'm saying? So it's never a direct interpretation of one situation. Everybody's situation is pretty much different. You know what I'm saying? So when you try to get people to wake up, you have to almost treat them like babies. You can't give them meat. You don't give a baby meat. You start them out with milk. You have to gradually ask these people questions.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, questions.
That's probably one of the
wake people up.
Right.
Questions wake up people. If you asking people questions to validate your point, then they can't argue. But if you constantly telling the person what they need to do, that gives them a platform to reject what you're saying. Because they're not thinking for themselves. But if you set them up to think for themselves, then they have no other. They either reject what you're saying or they engage. You see what I'm saying? And the purpose of us is trying to engage. We're trying to get people to actually think about some of the stuff that they've been involved in. You know, I just mentioned to the African brother, we still naming ourselves European names. You know, $10. You know what I'm saying? John Culpepper. You know what I'm saying? We idolize people that don't even want to be African. You know, Nicki Minaj is more London than she is, you know, African. You know what I'm saying? So the purpose is to remind ourselves.
Okay, so if Nicki Minaj changes her name, does that change her identity? I mean, it just changes what people call her.
Well,
is it what people call her or what she answers to? Like, what does changing her name do?
Yeah, but,
great. Okay, fine. But to the simple part, to the Steve Harvey.
Right.
He changed his name. No. Ordinary John.
Right. But if
Ordinary John.
See, once a person changes their name, it will indicate that they know something, right? Because you can't literally change your name without having to know something. Like my name was Larry, right? And when I got conscious enough to not change it, but take back the name that was taken from me, right? So when a person changes their name, it often indicates that they've been through some transformation. You see what I'm saying? Because you just don't wake up and say, well, you know, I'm gonna change my name. You know what I'm saying? There has to be some type of transformation, some type of learning situation that you go through. You know, like you said, Malcolm X became Detroit Red.
You got these, man?
No, we can get them.
Really?
Them next on the list.
Really?
Them next on the list. That's right.
So you'll be here all week? You'll get
All
these?
week,
You'll
yes.
bring some of these?
Well, we're gonna order them when this gets successful. We're trying to make the money back.
Okay.
So yes.
And I was going through
Yeah, it's good.
this, like, what am I going to change my name to? And I just kept it as unique. So I'm not going to change my name.
Well, you know, like, again, though, like, you know, we go through transformations in life, right? So even when you say consciousness, right? It's just a bold statement. It doesn't really mean anything because if I knock him out and the ambulance come, the first thing they're going to say is he's unconscious. So it's a different particular state. So consciousness comes in stages, right? So, you know, like when I was coming into consciousness, I was reading Islamic materials. That was my consciousness at that time.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Then I managed to graduate from that and get to African consciousness onto the Metal Netter. You see what I'm saying? But with these thought processes, with these ideologies come different names. You got Muslim names,
So where's the money I get?
African names, Kemetic names. You see what I'm saying? And whoever, like, you know, for example, Shango, you know, is a Yoruba pantheon. He's the Orishas, if you think of Vudum or the Ifa. You know what I'm saying? And some of the gods or the pantheons have energies, or they have energies that represent things that we have within inside ourselves, right? So, you know, like Heru or Horus becomes the hero. If I save you, then I'm attributing that deity that's within inside me. Isis or Aset is the nurturer. When you see her child is sitting on her lap, suckling on her breast. You know what I'm saying? Her sister is Nephthep, who helped give birth to Horus or Heru to come back and defeat his evil uncle Set, son Set. You see what I'm saying? So this pantheon, these things of good and evil still lives in us today. The thing we do is try to balance that good and evil, right? Because if we're too good, then we're not doing anything about the evil that's going around us. If we too bad, then we are part of the evil that goes on around us. But being balanced gives us the ability to be evil enough to fight the bad. You see what I'm saying? So the purpose of life is to become balanced. You know what I'm saying? What we call MAAT. You know what I'm saying? MAAT. To come to truth, justice, righteousness, order, balance, and reciprocity. That's MAAT. You know what I mean? And if anybody need MAAT in these days and times, it's black women. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all the nurturers, y'all give birth to every human being that comes on this earth. You know what I'm saying? The black woman is God because every human being.
Thank God, and I told you she was black. I told you, I thank God, and I told you. So we the same thing.
Or the same. Well, if anybody tell you they ain't got a belly button, they lying.
She was black.
You know what I'm saying? They lying. You know what I'm saying? They lying. We just saying the ability to create is far more valuable than anything that a man can do. But we lived in Western society that tells us that male domination is the anything, is everything, right? You know what I'm saying? But we recognize this when we come to our African self, because we didn't have a masculinity. It was a unified society. Well, you know, my queen ruled right next to me. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we coming back to. But we building in the sense of tribal people. Africa has never been united. There were always tribal people who did certain things, right? The Ashanti didn't do what the Zulus did. The Zulus didn't do what the Mau Maus did, right? But they had a common understanding, right? So what we're saying is we're building up a tribe. When you see these colors, this is just a tribal people who do certain stuff, right? That's not to say that we don't want to build with anybody else. We just saying this is our ideology and this is what we believe in. So our purpose is not to save the whole world. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You ever tried to help somebody that didn't want help? You know what I'm saying? Even though they needed it? You know what I'm saying? You give somebody crazy, right? But in doing so, you miss this brother right here who might need the help. You see what I'm saying? So we try not to, overexert ourselves with trying to save the world. Oh, what we gonna do about black people? No, what we gonna do about the family we already have? That's right. That's right. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all can make it out to the workshop, we'd love to build with y'all. It's every Monday, and I'm mad I ain't got no flyers. If you're here tomorrow, yes. Okay. We gonna have a videotape. We're gonna have a round table session about consciousness.
At the Mary.
No, we're gonna do it here. Yeah, we're gonna do it one of the Kwanzas. We're gonna do a round table. Huh? Oh, the Merriweather Library every Monday.
Okay,
yeah, every Monday. Rain, hail, sleet, or snow. Only when it's a holiday or a holiday when the library is closed.
Holy days. They're holy days, right?
The holy days. Well, our holy days ain't necessarily European holy days, right? Because like for Christmas, for example, it's not hard to realize no fact. White man is going to Africa, hot as Africa, with his big ass robe on, that suit on and shit. Santa Claus better get his short set. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, when we analyze ourselves, we can analyze where we're supposed to be. For example, fashion, right? Everybody love fashion. Take the fur coat, for example, right? Now, we know the fur coat wasn't an African invention. We need fur coat in hot-ass Africa, right? But the fur coat was actually the first flea pesticide for Europeans. Europeans ran rampant in fleas. In fact, it was a comment in Europe that said that you wasn't a man unless you had fleas. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But what they did was they took the rind off of a dead carcass of an animal and draped themselves. And the fleas would jump off to this fur coat. And they were able to discard the fur coat. But now niggas is, black people, we get mad when white people wear dashikis but we accept them wearing fur coats. Like, it didn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? But that's the state of mind that black people in right now. And of course, it's going to take tribal people such as ourselves to reclaim that glory, that glorious past that we once lost. To Sankofa, that's what they call it, to Sankofa, to go back and fetch and get our stories. So we're on a Sankofa mission. You know what I'm saying? And we need everybody to be on that Sankofa mission, because now we got babies growing up who will be expected to Sankofa as well. But their information has to be more better than the information that the generation left them. So this is why we're constantly building. We're constantly thinking about ways we can be more self-sufficient. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about ways we can better communicate with our loved ones, our peers.
Like make a movie. So like they say like art is how you like basically people learn more through video
That's right.
and television. So I produce